Ahoy, mate. How your day going? Morning, evening, night, whenever you're watching this video. We're about to check out top 3 places you can't go with people who went anyways because they were hard-headed. I mean, sometimes I feel like you get the ones where it's like they mistakenly walked into some ish. I do feel like that, but hey, either way it go though. All right, actually, we're gonna talk a little bit of ish. Then we'll start the video. You're more than welcome to fast forward if you want to. But this number one, a black cloud was spotted outside of a building, and it's just titled "Wrong Door." You already know where my mind's taking this. It's very freaking far left. So I'm picturing ish that I know it's not gonna happen. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. So we're gonna go ahead and start the video and see what's going on. But yo, if you want to check out the original video, blah, the link will be in the description below. But let's go.
Today, we're going to look at 3 places you can't go and people who went there anyways. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload 3 or 4 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please replace the like button's hairspray with Gorilla Glue adhesive spray. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories.
Was this video before the girl who actually put Gorilla Glue in her damn head? Whoa, that didn't age well.
On February 24th, 2019, a woman arrived at a ceramics factory in Hubei province in China. She walked through the front door into the main office where she saw a desk attendant. She informed them she was a quality control inspector and she was there that day to inspect their vehicles. The attendant was accustomed to their company being periodically inspected, and so she asked the woman if she needed any help, and the woman said, "Nope, I'm just going to roam around your building, check what I need to check, and then I'll be out of here." And so the attendant told her that was totally fine, and if she needed anything, just come back and she would help her. And so the inspector thanked her and then turned around and went out the front door and checked the vehicles in the front lot of the ceramics factory. And then after she was done, she went back into the main office. She walked past the attendant and out the back door into the very active yard where all day long these huge bulldozers would move around thousands of pounds of sand. And so the inspector walked out that back door and she scanned the yard and she saw there were 2 bulldozers doing just that, moving all around. And then off to the left side, there was a dump truck that seemed to be stationary. And so very confidently, she just walked right into the yard and made her way over to that dump truck. And then when she got there, she flagged the driver down and said she was an inspector and that she was going to check the vehicle out. And so the driver helped her by turning on and off signals and moving back and forth. And then at some point, the inspector needed the dump truck driver to back up a significant distance. She needed to watch him do that. And so she, the inspector, backed away from the dump truck until she was in the middle of the yard, standing right in front of this parked bulldozer. What happens next is all caught on video. And so as she's standing there and she's watching the dump truck back up right in front of her, the bulldozer driver right behind her turns on the machine and immediately lurches forward. Now, the driver of this bulldozer did not see the woman, and she was in his blind spot right in front of the bucket of his bulldozer. And he was not aware there was somebody on foot walking around the yard. It's an extremely dangerous place to be on foot. And so he goes right into her and he knocks her backwards. She falls into the bucket. She starts screaming, but no one can hear her. It's so loud. And the driver drives the bucket directly into a pile of sand and scoops up thousands of pounds of sand that come down directly on this woman. So now she's completely buried alive and being crushed by all this sand. And then the driver, completely oblivious, lifts the bucket up, turns around and drives across the yard and dumps the sand and the woman into a vibrating sand crusher.
The dumpster dude don't know she missed it?
The sand crusher is exactly what it sounds like. It pulverizes bits of rock and stone and grinds them down into a very fine powder. The machines come in various shapes and sizes, but this one inside of this ceramics factory was a top-loaded version, and it basically looked like a big dumpster with this big opening at the top. And so these bulldozer drivers would take these clumps of sand and they would dump it in this opening at the top of this bin. And then once they dumped their sand into the opening, the machine would vibrate, causing the sand to filter its way down towards the bottom of the machine, where there were these big, vicious metal claws that constantly smashed together and would just completely obliterate anything that...
There's no way this should have been organized this way. And I get it. It's periodic. You come in, do your inspections, make sure everything working. But this is not freaking McDonald's where you try to make sure, I don't know, do the fry machine work. Just, I don't know. I'm just naming something, whatever. This is way different. We're dealing with bulldozers and freaking construction yard shit. Ish. My bad. Clean my language up. But the fact that she was able to go back there with no equipment, sounds like no gear loss on, she just went back there to check on everything. and then no one go with her. Okay, this is weird. I don't blame the drivers, even though I was a little confused on the one in the dump truck because I thought he was working with her, like to get ish done. And I was like, he didn't know that she was missing, whatever. But the dude who was in the bulldozer is like, you can't blame him. He probably just got in there, was doing his job. I was like, okay, because he can't. I get it. He can't see the big ass. I don't know what it's called. I don't do that for a living. The claw thingy in the front. It's like he can't see through that, so he probably just got in like our routine. I was about to do this, boom, 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 and then grabbed off. Wow. But I do blame them damn attendants in the front for letting her go back by herself. That shouldn't have went that way.
The opening, the machine would vibrate, causing the sand to filter its way down towards the bottom of the machine, where there were these big, vicious metal claws that constantly smashed together and would just completely obliterate anything that passed through them. In the video, when the driver dumps his bucket load into the sand crusher, you can actually see the woman falling in, but then she immediately jumps into action and begins trying to pull herself up and out of this pile. And at some point, she gets most of her upper body out, and she waves, and she gets the attention of the driver who's just dumped her into the sand crusher. And the driver, he stops right away. You can see the vehicle lurch to a stop. He leaps out and he starts running over to the sand crusher. But as he's running over, this woman who's waving and waving, at some point her leg or some other part of her gets grabbed by those jaws at the bottom of the machine, and she's pulled slowly down into the sand crusher and disappears under the sand. When this happens, the driver is frantic and he's screaming for other people in the factory to come over and help. And at some point, the others inside, they realize there's an emergency and they all run over. But when they realize what's happened, that someone has fallen into the sand crusher, they all just stop and stand there because they know there's nothing they can do. The woman was gone.
Rest in peace. Damn, woke up that day and legit was like, all right, I'm about to go to work, do my job, have a good day. Probably had plans when she got off. I don't know. That shit always tripped me out, how I just like, you legit, when people say like you do not know when it's your time, it's so scary how that is like taken for granted so much, even by myself. I do this tomorrow. I got this tomorrow. I'll do this tomorrow. Like, man, you just don't know. And this is just my opinion at this point. But if you don't work there, regardless of what your title is, man or woman, I don't give a damn. You shouldn't be allowed back there with no guidance and no gear.
Up and stand there because they know there's nothing they can do. The woman was gone.
I wish that story was last. I checked out now.
In June of 2015, 45-year-old James Young landed his dream job. For the last several years, James had been a 5th grade teacher in East Canton, Ohio, teaching special education. And while he...
Is this going to be Cedar Point? Because the Raptor and we got a theme park in Ohio. I don't know if you know what Cedar Point is. Oh, it's the best theme park in the freaking world.
Been a 5th grade teacher in East Canton, Ohio, teaching special education. And while he loved his job and he loved the kids he worked with, he had always had his eye on becoming a guidance counselor for high school students. In 1988, James had actually graduated from East Canton, Ohio High School, and ever since his graduation, he had wanted to come back to the school and help the next generation of East Canton students prepare for their lives as adults. And a guidance counselor was designed to do just that. James had applied for the job before, but every time he applied, they would tell him that while he was qualified, there just wasn't a spot open for him. However, at the end of that school year, he was told a guidance counselor spot had opened up at the high school and the job was his if he wanted it. And so, of course, James said, yes, I'll take the job. And immediately he told his mother about this amazing news. And his mother, who lived only a block away from him in East Canton, Ohio, would say that her son was so ecstatic about the job that normally when summer break was coming up, he would really look forward to that time off from school. But now that he had this new job to look forward to, he was already anxious for the summer to be over. James was a single man, but he was not lonely. He had a number of very close, lifelong friends that he would spend virtually all of his off time with. And that summer, he did just that. He went out with his friends, they explored all of Ohio and outside surrounding areas. They spent a lot of time outside and they enjoyed each other's company. Towards the end of the summer, James and his friends knew it was time to schedule their annual trip to Cedar Point. Cedar Point is an amusement park about 2 hours northwest of East Canton.
Oh, the only ride before this shit go freaking crazy. This is my the Wicked Twister right here. This is my favorite freaking ride at the entire park. I ride it over and over and over and over and over. But this freaking dragster, this is the only ride I have not rode because I have not rode it because I am so scared. It's legit, bro. when you see the I don't know if you've ever been, but you should look it up on YouTube. It looks fire. We're gonna get back to the video in a little bit. You can fast forward, but it's like these what did you call these the race cars, the drag race cars, whatever, right? So it's like it's like this light. You go like red, yellow, then it go green, and it take off so fast. My cousin rode it because he like almost crazy, but he loved that shit. So he's like, yo, you legit can't breathe in the first takeoff, but it be like, and it just. I'm gonna show y'all some videos at the end. My bad, I got too excited.
Explored all of Ohio and outside surrounding areas. They spent a lot of time outside and they enjoyed each other's company. Towards the end of the summer, James and his friends knew it was time to schedule their annual trip to Cedar Point. Cedar Point is an amusement park about 2 hours northwest of East Canton, Ohio. It's situated right on the shores of Lake Erie, and it's known for its incredible roller coasters, of which they had 17, making them the park with the second most roller coasters in the world. Every summer, since James could remember, he and his very close friends would make a trip out to Cedar Point, usually at the end of the summer, to kind of cap off their vacation. After looking at their calendar, they decided that the best day to go would be Thursday, August 13th. This would give the group of friends one more fun thing to do before the following week James started his new job. So on the morning of that Thursday, the friends piled into a car and they made the 2-hour commute up to Cedar Point.
So, and the Raptor is the ride when you sit down on it, right? Your legs dangle like this on it, right? It's like it's kind of right, or is that the one you're kind of like no, that's the Wicked Twister.
Thursday, the friends piled into a car and they made the 2-hour commute up to Cedar Point. And as soon as they got there, they went inside, they grabbed a map, and they began systematically hitting as many rides as they possibly could. And so by 4:30 p.m., they were totally exhausted. They'd been on virtually every ride. And so they were about to call it a day when James and his friends decide, hey, let's go on one more ride before we pack it in. And so they pull out their map and they're looking, and they realize they haven't gone on one of their favorite rides. It was called the Raptor. The Raptor was not Cedar Point's biggest roller coaster, but it was their fastest.
No, the Millennium Force is their biggest. Well, I think it got bigger now. My bad, it's bringing the kid out of me, but yeah, yep, so I was right about this. So my bad, I'm just being excited. I'm sorry, I'm letting it finish. I ain't sorry.
And they realized they haven't gone on one of their favorite rides. It was called the Raptor. The Raptor was not Cedar Point's biggest roller coaster, but it was their fastest. It would reach a top speed of 57 miles per hour. Passengers are seated 4 across with their feet dangling below them in these suspended chairs with the big harness that comes down. And then once the ride starts, they're brought slowly up this 137-foot hill, and then at the top they pause before being dropped down into this nearly 4,000-foot long track that spins them upside down 6 different times. So James and his friends, they closed up their map and they ran their way over to the Raptor. They got in line, and by 4:50 p.m., they had made it to the front of the line. They got into their seats, their harness came down, and then the ride started. And they were pulled up to the top of the hill, they paused, and then they were launched down the track. And for 2 minutes, they zipped and zagged and looped-de-looped all through this track. And then it was just suddenly over. And the friends had a great time on the ride. Except James realized about halfway through the ride, when they were upside down, his phone and wallet had come out of his pockets. And he actually saw them fall down towards the ground. And although he didn't see exactly where they landed,
I think I heard about this. He gonna go get it and get hit. I think I recently heard about this story though. Isn't this video old? I think I just heard about this story though. Oh, I think I did hear about this one.
And although he didn't see exactly where they landed, he had a pretty good idea of where they were. And so after they got off the ride, the friends were kind of talking about how much fun it was. And James said to them, hey, I lost my cell phone and wallet. Will you guys come with me while I go look for them? And so the friends agreed. They left the Raptor station and they walked down the paved path until they were in front of this fence that said no trespassing. And so James gets up to the fence and he's looking inside of this fenced-in area, and he sees right in the middle of this restricted area is his phone and his wallet. And before James's friends could tell him not to do this, he had climbed over the fence and entered into this restricted area. He ran over to his phone and his wallet, he picked it up, and then when he stood back up again, the next wave of Raptor riders came blazing through the area, and the underside, the steel underside of the ride, hit James right in the back of the head. He never saw it coming. It threw him forward, he landed on his face, and immediately the park officials saw this happen. They stopped the ride, but the riders on board the Raptor, they didn't know what was going on, and so they're stopped on the ride. They're looking down, and they hear people screaming, and they look down, and they see there's this man, James, lying face down on the ground with blood pooling around his head. The fence James had climbed over was there specifically to keep visitors from getting too close to this one.
It's around all the rides, too, and you can legit see over something like, yo, like some of them, even though the gate is like right here, I can still reach my hand over like, yo, I can touch that ride if I wanted to. You can see this ish happening, and you can see all the tracks and ish. Like, man, there's no way he should went over there for that damn phone, dog. All that shit is replaceable. Everything, the phone, your ID, your cards, all of that shit. If it was cash in there, that ain't, well, it's replaceable, but you gotta work for it back. But still, regardless. Yeah, I think I just heard about this story recently, too.
James lying face down on the ground with blood pooling around his head. The fence James had climbed over was there specifically to keep visitors from getting too close to this one low point in the Raptor ride where the ride can come through and it can hit you. And so medical workers, they rush over, they hop over the fence, they get to James, but it was too late. He was pronounced dead at the scene. That day, Cedar Park was put under investigation for James's death, but after reviewing the footage and talking to witnesses, the investigation was closed and they determined that the park was not at fault. James,
not gonna lie, not at all.
Despite being a very intelligent and sensible man, had a brief lapse in judgment, and it unfortunately cost him his life. Today, Cedar Park is still open for business, and the Raptor ride is still operational.
Man, that's one thing that's funny about being from the Midwest. No matter where I go on the map, people always ask me about Cedar Point. Like, yo, you ever been to Cedar Point? You ever been? Like, cause some people know about it. My boy in Texas, he loved theme parks too, but he always go to Six Flags and everything. And that was one of the things he asked me about. He used to like just send me videos and shit. We'd be sending him videos like, dog, you gotta come up here. If you come, that's the first thing we're doing is freaking going to Cedar Point. But if I ever get like Christine, Dwayne, and Jasmine here, that's exactly where we're going. Like, yo, when I say this is the best, it legit wins best theme park every freaking year. I don't know about the last 5 years. I haven't been checking it in a while. But when I used to check it, it used to win every freaking year, dog. And they got this ride called Millennium Force. At one point, it was the tallest roller coaster in the world. Riding that mug is so fun, dog. But the line, you'll spend like hours trying to get in there. I'm gonna talk more at the end. My bad. Let's get back to the video. My bad.
Today, Cedar Park is still open for business, and the Raptor ride is still operational. On August 14th, 2012, Celestino Cervantes picked up 28-year-old Victor Diaz for work. Celestino was an expert roofer, and he had just hired Victor to come on his crew and help him with a particular job. This was going to be Victor's first day as a roofer, but for the past 10 years he had worked in construction, so he was familiar with the operation. The two men arrived at their job site in San Antonio, Texas around 8 a.m. that morning. They were in charge of putting a new roof on a 115-year-old building that was being redeveloped into a fancy steakhouse. Until 2001, this building had been used by a brewing company to house their enormous boilers. As such, this building was referred to as the boiler house. Protruding from the boiler house roof was this large metal duct that was 15 feet long and almost looked like a covered walkway, and it connected to the side of this huge smokestack. This duct and smokestack used to be how the built-up condensation inside the boiler house was able to travel up and out of the building. When the two roofers got out of their truck, Celestino told Victor to take his tools and make his way up to the roof of the boiler house and get to work, and that he had a few things he had to do down on the ground floor, but he would be up to check on him in a little bit. Celestino turned around and was fiddling with his equipment inside of the truck, while Victor made his way into the building and out of sight. An hour and a half later, Celestino went up to the roof to check on Victor, but he couldn't find Victor anywhere, and he couldn't find his tools anywhere. So Celestino went back down into the main section of this building where other contractors that were working on this renovation were, and he began asking them, hey, have you seen this guy, Victor? He works with me, I can't find him, and no one had seen him. And so Celestino's thinking to himself, well, I guess Victor must have left. But that didn't really make any sense because Victor didn't have a vehicle and he didn't live nearby. But Celestino's thinking, you know what, maybe somebody came and picked him up. Now, unfortunately, Victor did not carry a cell phone, so nobody had any way of getting directly in contact with him. So Celestino leaves the building and he calls Victor's brother and he asks him, you know, have you seen Victor? Do you know where he might have gone? And Victor's brother says, no, I haven't seen him since this morning when he left with you. So Victor's brother began calling around to friends and family and asked them if they had seen Victor, but nobody knew where he was. So for the rest of the day, Celestino and the rest of Victor's friends and family, they went out looking for Victor at the job site and around the surrounding areas, but there was just no sign of him. And so that night, Victor's brother went to the police to file a missing person report. But the police told him that it was really too early to file a report because Victor was an adult and there was no sign of foul play, and that he should just come back in a day or two if Victor still has not shown up. 2 days go by and Victor had still not shown up, so Victor's sister-in-law went back to the police and says, okay, now I want to file a missing person report. We don't know where he is, no one can get in touch with him, we need your help. but the officer she spoke to told her that she still needed to wait another 5 days to process this request.
Damn.
It would turn out this was just not true. It was a mistake. There was no arbitrary waiting period to file a missing person report. So without any help from the police, Victor's friends and family and co-workers spent the next several days scouring San Antonio, scouring the job site, looking everywhere for him and handing out flyers and asking people if they'd seen him, but no one had. He had just disappeared. By Monday the following week, so 6 days after Victor has gone missing, his family had printed out dozens of these huge posters with his face on them and a number to call if you had any information about him, and their plan was to distribute them the following morning all over San Antonio. But the following morning, before they headed out, they got a call. Victor had been found. 7 days earlier, when Celestino told Victor to head inside and make his way to the roof and begin the project, Victor had gotten his tools, gone inside, he made his way up the stairwell to the second floor, and then he made a series of odd decisions. Instead of making his way to the access door and climbing his way up to the roof, he went to the far side of the second floor where there were all these wooden barriers preventing people from going any farther. He climbed over all these barriers and he reached the entrance to that huge duct where the condensation used to go. And so from his perspective, he would have been looking into this duct and it would have been completely pitch black because it connected to that smokestack, and the smoke...
Don't be one of these stories where it's like nobody know what happened, but the paper trail left behind is just freaking mysterious. Oh my gosh, dog.
A huge duct where the condensation used to go. And so from his perspective, he would have been looking into this duct and it would have been completely pitch black because it connected to that smokestack, and the smokestack was totally sealed off. But despite not having any idea where this tunnel goes, and it clearly not being the place Celestino told him to go, Victor decides to just get into this tunnel, which required bending over because it was only 4 feet tall and...
Put him into it. What I say? Whoa, my bad. My girl ain't give me nothing about a few days. I don't know what I was thinking about that.
Goes, and it clearly not being the place Celestino told him to go, Victor decides to just get into this tunnel, which required bending over because it was only 4 feet tall and 5 feet wide. So he gets inside of this tunnel and he begins shuffling his way deeper and deeper into this tunnel until he reaches the end of the tunnel where it actually connects into the smokestack. Now at the top of this duct where it connects to the smokestack, there wasn't a grate or bars or any sort of barrier that would stop you from spilling into the smokestack. And because it was totally pitch black, Victor, when he made it to the edge of that duct, he just kept on walking and fell 20 feet down to the bottom of the smokestack.
What?
And so in total darkness, Victor, who was probably badly hurt from the fall, began feeling around the inside of the chimney looking for a way out. And he eventually found a hatch that was big enough for him to fit through, but when he felt up against it, he realized it was locked from the outside and it wouldn't even budge. He couldn't even get light to come in through a crack. It was totally sealed.
Damn, you can look at that door, there's no way. There's no, oh my God. But what, why were these moves made?
From the outside, and it wouldn't even budge. He couldn't even get light to come in through a crack. It was totally sealed off. And that was the only way out of the smokestack, unless he could get back up to the duct. But there was no way to do that. He most likely began screaming for help, but he was encased in thick brick, and so his sound wouldn't have traveled. It would have been completely muffled. Plus, the smokestack was fairly far away from the job site, which was very noisy as it is, and so there was just no way they could have heard him. And the smokestack and the duct were not part of the renovation, and so there was absolutely no foot traffic over around the smokestack. He was completely alone, no one knew he was there, and there was no way out. 7 days after Victor fell into the smokestack, workers over at the job site, they noticed this huge swarm of flies over around the base of the smokestack. There were so many flies over there, they decided they had to go investigate. And so as they walked closer and closer to the smokestack, they were hit with this overwhelming stench of death and decay. And then when they got to the smokestack, they could see the flies were centralized on that hatch at the bottom. And so they cut the lock, they opened it up, and inside they found Victor's body. And they saw his hands were badly bloodied and bruised, and they were pressed up against the inside of the hatch, indicating in his final moments he was desperately trying to open that hatch and save himself, but there was just no way to do that. Although no one knows this for sure, it's believed Victor confused the condensation duct with the access point to the roof. So that's gonna do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's video,
yo, this might legit be the most effed up one. I'm not, number one, I ain't gonna lie, I feel bad for her because I wish even she would have came to the conclusion of like maybe I should get some kind of equipment here or some guidance. But again, it's routine, and I understand that you just get to a point where you move on autopilot. You just go do what you gotta do, get out of there, boom, boom, boom. It's routine, whatever. But something like that, we talked about it already. That was very dangerous. The second one, can't lie to you, that is dog fault 100%. It sucked, it really do. But there's no way he should have hopped that gate to go get a phone and a wallet. It must have been something really important in those. And honestly, I'm quite sure that phone didn't even work anymore at that point. The way it probably hit the ground, how far in at that speed. But hey, I'm just using hindsight here at this point. Honestly, me personally, I still know I would have not went to grab that. That would have been done. I wouldn't even want anyone to work there to go grab it. Like, no, it's gone, dog. Number 3, at first I was confused. I was like, why is he making these moves? But again, like he said, it was brand new. It was the first time he hit him up, so he was excited probably, like he said, so he can go ahead and do a job. I feel like at one point I feel like he really felt like he was going to the destination he was supposed to go to, but nah, he just walked into that dark room and just fell. And at that point, there was no return. Yo, oh shit! All right, so at this point, video over. You're more than welcome to leave if you want to. Yo, we're about to just talk some story-ish, whatever. Share some Cedar Point roller coasters. Yo, it's just 2 I want to show y'all, though. The Millennium Force is freaking top-notch. I ain't gonna lie. Last time I went, though, we went to Cedar Point, I did chicken out. I ain't ride it the last. I was like, no, I wrote everything except that one. The Dragster, I'm never, ever going to freaking ride that. I might have to show you that one as well. But yo, let me show you this one. I still remember when this one came out and the whole talk around it was like, yo, it's all to be enlarged. But the biggest talk about it at the time was it was the biggest roller coaster in the world. So everybody, legit people from all over was traveling to come to Cedar Point just to ride this mud. People still do though. This park is so freaking fun. Let me fast forward. I don't know what video this is. It get to a point. Look how long it's still going up. It gets to a point. You look left, right. You can see like the entire damn. I'm exaggerating. The entire freaking city, dog. Calm down. Look at this shit. Yo, they still going up, bro. Look left and right. Bro, this drop you. They said you can legit get whiplash on this mug. Like, you gotta legit be sit. Like, they strap you in legit like a car. You gotta be prepared. Basically, blah. I be right here watching, eating my elephant ear. This shit is crazy. I think it's like 100-something miles per hour. I think it's high up. It's the fastest roller coaster they got. Boy, I'll be so scared right here. Like, I'm so scared to ride this one, dude. I can't do it. Oh man, calm down. Let's watch this. Yo. Once you go up, you're good. I'm not worried about the drop. The scariest part on roller coasters to me is the up, because when you're going up, especially on wooden roller coasters, is when you're going up, you hear the chains go. The entire time you going up, because I'm like, oh shit, if I hear something like sound like it dislocate, I'm gonna be scared as hell. That's the scariest part. Once I get up, I'm good. A lot of people are scared of the drop. I'm good on that part, whatever. But what I was gonna say was, recently, didn't they just have a situation on this ride? This park is really good for like legit having like nothing really bad happening. I kid you not. This park reputation is freaking amazing. But didn't this particular ride recently, I don't know if you know, it had a situation where this same ride, it went up, but it didn't go fast enough. So people, when they got to the top, it got stuck, and that mug went back down and came back backwards. Like, no one was hurt. I don't remember, whatever, but it was just like freaking weird.
Holy cow. Oh my god, get over. Oh my god, it did go over!
This has turned to my new favorite freaking ride. Like, this one is so creepy. These POV videos not gonna do it justice because you gotta experience. I kid you not, the same part is the ish. This one, so you're in your chair, you're in your seat with it, right? You go up. When you go up, it preps you for the thrill. Like it teases you, like you let you know it's coming up. So you go up and you kind of go around straight for a bit. This is after you go all the way up. So you kind of go around straight for a bit. Then when you go around, and you know normally your roller coasters, it's like woo, it's like a drop, like the one I just showed you. How it drops. No, this one it takes you right to the edge, and then you dangle, and then you look down. Well, I was in the front too, and you look down, but when you look down, you can see it's not like a, oh hey, this is about to be a fun drop. No, it's like a whoop, like a cartoon, like a straight flat ass, like just go down, like it's a little more curve to it. But yo, look, freaking creepy, dog. I freaking loved it though. See, this going up part scares me because I'm like, what if something happened and we go back? Let me fast forward. Look, watch this. Freaking. Look at this shit! I was like, oh shit! And it just dropped. Like, this drop is legit damn near straight. Look. Somebody said, oh my god! But yeah, no, it was just pretty crazy that MrBallen shared that story about the dude at Cedar Point. I was like, dang, I recently just heard about the story, and it wasn't that long ago. I want to say about maybe a month or two ago. It was I don't know how old the situation was, but I just heard about it. I was like, oh shit, I do know the story. And I remember because of course with everybody, well, most of my damn family being from Michigan, of course everybody's sharing the story because we all go to Cedar Point all the time. And I was like, dang, yo, because I remember looking into it. I was like, there's no way the story went down the way that I'm reading about it. And I started watching the video clips and reading about it. I was like, yep, it was that way. Damn. But yo, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, enjoy my day. You go ahead and do the same thing, enjoy your day. Morning was actually night for me. Enjoy your day, morning, evening, night, whenever you're watching this video. But I'm out.